with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. Let me think. What am I going to fucking say today? I'm fucking hesitant to talk about the things that I'm interested in at the moment because it's starting to piss people off. I'm talking about the B word, Bitcoin. So I'm not going to talk about that. The only things I'm really interested in at the moment are like economics and monetary systems and shit like that. And who gives a fuck about that? No one. So what else is there? There's a fucking Indian Prime Minister of England now. That's what England needed. A fucking billionaire Indian leading the country. There is no one fucking worse in the entire fucking world than overprivileged fucking Indians. They are so fucking detached from reality. I've seen them and interact with them a little bit in India, and they're not good. I don't know anything about this cunt, actually. It's just my wife's been telling me he's like the son of the Infosys guy or something like that. Let me tell you something. This cunt ain't gonna help. There's only one group of people I can think that are worse than like super rich, detached from all reality Indians, and that's probably like Arab sheiks. It goes Arab sheiks, then Indian billionaires. But I've never met any Arab sheiks, so I can't really judge them. But I've met a lot of rich Indians, and look, it's difficult to find fucking some positives here. Who knows? Maybe you will be good. Maybe that's what you need, a rich guy. It worked in the US. Donald Trump was fucking a billionaire, and that turned out pretty good. In Australia, we had Malcolm Turnbull for a little while. He had a couple of $100 million, and everyone before he got elected was saying, we need him because he's rich already. He's not going to fucking scam. He's not going to be corrupt because he's already got money. That's what people were saying. He's got so much money, he doesn't need to be corrupt. I don't think people understand how big money works. I certainly don't, but I can fucking guess you need to be a ruthless cunt to end up with that much money. But yeah, Turnbull ended up being fucking great as well as Donald Trump. So we'll see how this fucking Indian billionaire goes. That's what you need, Indian billionaires in control of shit. The unfortunate thing is that Trust Lady, the fucking bitch who quit after 44 days, she was actually trying to do the right thing. What she did, or what she was trying to do, was the right thing. The problem is the system is so beyond fucked that you can't even attempt to do the right thing without the whole system almost collapsing. So the only thing you can do now is continue to do the wrong thing until it does collapse. Now that I've said that, in that case, you've got the perfect guy for it, a rich Indian billionaire. That's exactly what you need in this type of system. You need someone who's going to continuously do the wrong thing until it collapses under someone else's fucking watch. That's what's going to happen. At what point did the English just say enough's enough and fucking take shit over? That must be coming soon because, well, there's no Queen Elizabeth anymore. It's King Charles. Who gives a fuck about that cunt? The Prime Minister's an Indian billionaire. I'm not too sure if he's a representative of the people at the moment. So I'm just thinking like, at some point, the English people are going to go, hey, enough's enough, cunts. We're going to follow the French's lead and we're going to start rioting until shit changes. At least the English have a history of fucking rioting. There's no rioting in Australia. France, England, fucking Ireland don't seem like they're rioters at the moment either. They've been pacified, the Irish, but it's in them. It's in the Irish. If shit hits the fan, the Irish are coming with fucking pitchforks. Australians will just head down to the beach and chill. She'll be right. She'll be right, mate. That's how we got pacified with the phrase, she'll be right. Anyway, good luck to everyone out there. It's time for this week's Boyle Breaks History. So, this week's Boyle Breaks History was a fucking request. And a good request at that. So let's get on with it. I forget who sent it in, and I can't be bothered looking it up. But this week's Boyle Breaks history is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So let's travel all the way back to the 1800s in Japan. Konnichiwa! Konnichiwa. The feudal system has collapsed, and the tradition of the samurai has been abandoned. So during this period, there was a little Japanese kid walking around the streets. He was a sickly young lad, and he was very weak. And he searched Japan far and wide looking for samurai masters that could teach him how to defend himself. So in the samurai tradition, there was really like three parts to it. There was archery, there was sword fighting, and there was hand-to-hand combat. And they called the hand-to-hand combat Jiu-Jitsu. Konnichiwa. So this young lad found masters across Japan who would teach him some shit about hand-to-hand combat. The samurai tradition was dying, so lots of different masters were happy to pass on their knowledge to him. They had no disciples, these guys. So this young lad, have I said his name yet? Anyway, the guy's name is Kano Jigoro. Konnichiwa. Kano Jigoro. So after like 5 years of training from all these samurai warriors, Kano put it all together and developed a fighting system, a school he called Kodokan Judo. So Kano taught a bunch of different Japanese people this style, Kodokan, and it spread throughout Japan. And in 1904, Kano sent some of his disciples overseas to the US, some other places to do some demonstrations. And one of the other places was Brazil. And the master he sent over for demonstrations to Brazil was Mitsuyo Maeda. Konnichiwa. So this Maeda guy did demonstrations all through Brazil. Just beating up Brazilian cunts, capoeira cunts, boxers, just fucking dominating. And people were like, who is this fucking samurai cunt? And one of the people who was watching on thinking that just happened to be a young lad named Carlos Gracie or Carlo Gracie. That was in about 1917. So Maeda, the Japanese dude, started a school and took on Carlo Gracie as one of his students. Now, there were a lot of brothers in the Gracie clan. There was Carlo, Oswaldo, Gustavo Jr., George, and Helio Gracie. And pretty much all their stories are conflicting, but we'll go with whatever Carlos says. So Carlos said he was taught by Maeda, the Japanese master, and then passed on all his knowledge to his younger brothers. And of all those brothers, basically Helio Gracie and George Gracie became the main practitioners. Helio Gracie became like the legendary guy. George Gracie, I think he split from the Gracie family. Carlo denounced him after he left or something. So the schools of Gracie split. Literally, I'm making that up. I don't know if that's true. Anyway, let's stay on track. Carlo wasn't really a fighter. Helio and George were the fighters. So Helio apparently was like smaller, weaker, sort of like sickly dude. Just like the original Kano guy. So Helio would watch his brothers like spar and fight and grapple and shit like that. And because he was the smallest, he had to start figuring out his own new technique so he could beat his bigger brothers and bigger opponents. So he developed like what you would sort of consider like modern day Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So there was a famous fight. A Japanese dude went over to Brazil. His name was Kimura. Konnichiwa. So this Kimura guy, he was a Kodokan Jiu-Jitsu specialist. He'd been undefeated in 15 years. He was built like a brick shit house, 90 kilograms. And Helio, who was also undefeated, but was like 20 kilograms lighter and was getting a bit old. Helio challenged Kimura to a fight. And so Kimura was like, no, you fight one of my understudies first. So Helio fought this guy, Kato. He beat Kato, and then he fought Kimura. So the famous fight between Kimura and Helio Gracie took place and Helio got his ass kicked. Kimura kicked the fuck out of him, submitted him, threw him around like a cunt. But that's when the split happened. That's when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo split. Judo became more throws and shit like that, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu became more on the ground. Like prior to that, Judo and Jiu-Jitsu seemed to have been the same thing. Jiu-Jitsu had throws in it, Judo had throws in it. There was a bit of groundwork with both of them, but there was a clear separation at some point, and it was around about that point. So after that, pretty much the Gracie family just took over. It became a huge sport in Brazil. So then in 1972, Carly Gracie moved to the United States to teach Jiu-Jitsu and spread the fucking word. Soon after that, Rory and Gracie, this was like the next generation of Gracies. They came to America and started teaching and fighting, and it basically really exploded when the UFC started. Royce Gracie won the first UFC tournament, and that was basically, back in the day, it was styles versus styles. Like there was boxers, kickboxers, fucking Tai Chi cunts, meditators. There was a lot of different fuckers trying to win, and out of all of them, Royce Gracie won. So after that, it exploded. The legend fucking built, and everyone started doing jiu-jitsu, including me. And I am at the end of the line. And now, Le Boyle is doing jiu-jitsu. All the way from that little sick kid in fucking Japan, now I'm doing it. That's the history of jiu-jitsu. Starts in Japan, ends in Sydney. Anyway, that will fucking do for today. If you're enjoying the pod, give it a share around, and I'll see you the fuck later.